They're going to tell us that, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are dying around the world. And what they want in the end is they want governments to hand over control of that whole segment of their society, like the whole healthcare segment, really, to an international body, namely the World Health Organization. How the news operates these days. The news is just a great big marketing firm for globalism, in my opinion. And I think that this coronavirus thing is part of it. Why do I say that? How can I be so sure? Haven't I seen the leaked video from China? People will ask me. Yeah, I have, and I happen to know that China is on total internet lockdown. It has been for a long time. So ask yourselves, how so many videos got snuck out, got leaked? How did that happen? Do you think? How did some doctor, in the midst of dealing with a viral outbreak, who was sick himself, how did he get around the internet firewalls and get his videos out? It's a good question. Maybe you need a little more convincing, so check this out from 2017. World Bank launches first ever pandemic bonds to support $500 million pandemic emergency financing facility. This is from June 28th, 2017. Bonds for a pandemic. The only reason they would do that is if they thought they were going to be able to make a lot of money off a pandemic sometime in the near future. And voila. Not very long after, not even 2 years after, not even a year and a half after, this all proves very fortuitous for the World Bank. And then there's something called Event 201. Broke this story as far as I know. Johns Hopkins Initiative hopes to better prepare for pandemics. This is from December 11th, 2019. And they talk about a team of experts at the Center for Security at Johns Hopkins University staging an exercise. They dreamed up doomsday scenarios. It says for the most recent exercise called Event 201, which was held in New York City in October, the Center for Health Security partnered with the World Economic Forum and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to engage 15 leaders in business, government, and public health to model response to a worldwide coronavirus pandemic. It's something to take note of. We've got the Treasury bond, the pandemic bonds from the World Bank, and now we have this exercise focusing on coronavirus, sponsored by all the usual suspects. Bill and Melinda Gates, the World Economic Forum, and more. It included representatives from the UN Foundation, United Nations, the World Bank, China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the Central Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Center for Disease Control, and other leaders from travel, banking, pharmaceutical, and healthcare services industries. The United Nations Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There's people from the World Bank, CDC, a couple of CDCs, China's CDC, the United States CDC, PR firms, communications experts, and people who have apparently been involved in disaster planning for decades or more. None of them thought about physician shortages or healthcare provider shortages. None of that didn't come up. As the guy says, I don't see that on your list. Wow. And also missing from the list is any talk of public safety or what to do about civil unrest that could result if this thing gets bad. What kind of experts are these? They're the kind of experts that have an agenda in mind. And that agenda was told to you right off the start by Timothy Evans. And that's to get financing for a world body to oversee the pandemic response. That's what it's all about. They don't really care about people. They just see a giant trough of money that they can always throw out there. They can always throw out some propaganda, some fear videos, clips that they can fake in their back rooms. And they can send out the message to all their subservient mainstream media talking heads. Look, tomorrow we're going to talk about the virus has got a hockey stick graph that it's spreading. It's going to spread to millions of people by a month from now. You notice them all saying the same thing? And by the way, this is a good place to revisit the whole point about the name of the virus changing all of a sudden. Look at a blue check. David Gura. For your information, calling COVID-19 the, quote, Wuhan virus is racist. Give me a break. They're going to see everything they don't like. I hope you guys see that this pandemic is brought to you by NBC, Bloomberg, China, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, United Nations, CIA, and Bill and Melinda Gates. Event 201, their pandemic planning exercise that they did in October 2019, that made it out in that article in December 2019, and then boom, it happens in real life.
We ain't seen nothing yet. This is just the beginning, just a precursor for what is actually coming. And it's coming pretty quickly, folks. By September, I think things are going to be really starting to be noticed by people. By the end of next year, I think we're going to be living in a pretty different reality. You know, I doubt that I'll ever be travelling again. I don't think travel is going to be possible anymore. There'll just be one national carrier, one international carrier. It'll all be government controlled. They'll want all sorts of tests and temperature checks and all sorts of things in order to enter the plane. You'll have to have your COVID pass. So, yeah, I think now's the time for people to start stockpiling food and to start really examining their plan Bs and making sure they've got a plan B in place. That's the grim reality of the situation, folks. You know, you've got to have a plan B. I mean, sure, I see this as a huge opportunity to wake people up and a huge opportunity for human freedom. But by the same token, you've got to face the likelihood that a lot of people are simply not going to wake up. This is a war, folks. There's a war going on. It's been waged for a long time. It's a war that's been waged, against us by the controlling hand. It's a war of depopulation. The interface that we can actually use to combat this war is the government system, the politicians. They're only able to get away with it through our fear of them and our fear of what they write on paper and call law, and we just go along with this stuff. Crazy. It's important to see how society has been set up for this fall. Now, I actually called this back in 2008 when I said, World War III has already started. It's a war of depopulation, and we're being set up for a massive cull by the codependency, the interdependency between nations, the way the supply chains have been set up, and the way people have been packed into major cities. We're being set up for a cull. And we've got to that point now. I've been warning people. I've been saying, look, there's a train coming, and you've got to get off the tracks. And people still on the tracks, still arguing about the shape of the tracks or whatever. And the train is hit now. So either we seize this opportunity to become free, or we face the reality that a lot of people simply aren't going to do it, which is why you need to have a plan B. Then a lot of people talk about this transformation ritual, this occult ritual that this whole thing really is. There was a great report that came out by Truth Stream Media a couple of months ago, which talked about the transformation ritual, the cleansing, the isolation, the wearing of masks, all to what they do to slaves when they transition them into a new reality. And once you go into that new reality, you can never go back to the old reality. That's what they're doing, folks. That's what they want to do with this whole push with the vaccines as well. And think about the vaccines, folks. There's no way you could develop a vaccine this quickly. It takes years to develop vaccines. And I don't think any of them work anyway. All of them are just full of this ridiculously toxic stuff. Even to support the whole concept of vaccines, you've got to support germ theory, which I don't. So, I think there's a lot to be said for that. But anyway, If the virus was really as contagious as they say, so contagious that they're going to make you wear a mask, surely they could just take a sample of your breath. Surely they could just take a little swab of saliva from the corner of your mouth and they could test it to see what viral load you had in your body. They would be able to identify it from that. The fact that they need to stick these swabs all the way up your nose, but they're asking you to wear masks at the same time, this is very contradictory, folks. You look at what Trump's doing, folks. Trump pulled funding from the WHO. He gave it straight to Gavi.
Gavi operates with great transparency, and as the coronavirus has shown, there are no borders. It doesn't discriminate. It's mean, it's nasty, but we're going to all take care of it together.
Gavi, Bill Gates Gavi.
We needed to find the resources to get countries to adopt the vaccine so that every child would be protected